Hello guys. Welcome to Top Anime Sensei. This video is the continuation video after RIMURU gets angry. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. But this is for one reason. That is, we do not intend to antagonize humanity. But since you are clearly unwilling to cooperate, I don't suppose we should either. The meeting hall fell silent with my words echoing. Even though my voice wasn't that loud, it went straight into every counselor's heart and inspired fear. I did not use my Demon Lord Haki, since if I used it on humans, the luckier ones would only fall in a state of fear, but for the unlucky, they would probably go mad, or even die in pain like a maniac. That's why I won't use it in a place like this. And of course, I won't brainwash them either. It will ruin any prospect of us befriending humans. I don't want to deal with boring puppet-like companions who would only say yes. Anyhow, at least I only destroyed the table in anger this time before expressing my opinion. Yet this alone was tremendously effective. No, that wasn't our intent when raising those terms, RIMURU dono. Indeed. We were only trying to build a bridge of friendship with your nation. It was just a careless mistake that we got a bit too presumptuous. The counselors started to panic and tried to find excuses. But I only got angrier as I listened. By the way, you are still calling me dono, even though I'm the ruler of a nation. If you were the king or chancellor of a nation, then I suppose I could give it a pass. But if you were to call me that without actually leading a nation, it is the equivalent of looking down on our kingdom. It's almost as if they were talking to the king of their vassal states. There wasn't a shred of respect in their tone. These people were clearly looking down on us, thinking that we were just some monsters. I can tolerate it if I get looked down on, but I cannot tolerate my nation being looked down upon. I'm a demon lord after all. I was hoping that they would at least treat us in a manner worthy of such a title. But things were much more severe than I expected. We stayed in the most luxurious hotel, and many counselors were polite to us, but that's what made me careless. Then what exactly was your motive? It sounds to me that you want to make the people of my nation your slaves and work them into the ground for your sake? No, that's not the case at all. We have no such intention. That's not our motive at all. The counselors tried their hardest to explain. So, these were the kinds of nobles representing their nations. What a pain to deal with. Even someone with an open heart like me was at the limit of my patience. I imagine Yuki must be one sly fox to have been able to play these stinky ocelots in his palm. I really want to learn from him, but I don't think I'd be able to manage. Proposal? Allow me to handle the situation and engage automatic response? Yes, no. Raphael-san seemed to have said something, or was I hearing things? It is very outstanding, but a skill is just a skill. There's no way that it could have interjected freely like that. Maybe I'd relied on it too much every day, to be hallucinating its voice due to my wishes. If it were possible, it could even handle speech, then what the hell was all that I just suffered through? I shook my head at such a ridiculous notion, and continued to glare at the counselors in front of me impatiently. This was bad. Now that I had regained my cool, I was troubled about how to salvage the situation. People always say that a hasty man is seldom out of trouble. If anything were to go wrong here, it would be difficult to mend things. The counselors were trying really hard, as was I. Report. There is no problem. Just as Master has thought, it has been confirmed that the whole venue was under the influence of mental interference. Huh? What did you just say? I honestly wasn't thinking anything, not a single thought. I only acted because of my anger. But, report, mental manipulation has been discovered after collecting several samples. It appears that the majority of the counselors here have been psychologically influenced by someone. Interrupt interference? Yes, no. Do I really have to spell it out? I chose yes without hesitation. With that, the few counselors who had remained silent until now began to speak. Of course His Majesty RIMURU would be angered by this. This is an absolute disgrace on our side. How can we make it up to you? Hold on, all of these terms were never mentioned prior to the meeting. Who is it who drafted this on their own? The situation suddenly changed. Raphael-san sure was impressive, always so reliable. Fufu, looks like all the counselors have regained their reasoning. I pretended as if I've seen through everything and mumbled rather pompously. I was just trying to play cool for a second, but Shuna reacted to it. I see how it is now. I was wondering why they were acting strange. Could it have been some sort of mental interference? So, what happened exactly, Wisdom King Raphael-san? Answer: it was a form of mental interference. The source of interference was not from magicules, so it took some time to decrypt it, but there aren't that many people with the same wavelength at the same time. This one thought it would take more time to deactivate it, but the wavelength of Master's anger caused a tear in it. I see, looks like the effect wasn't that strong. The mental interference was only strong enough to make some counselors short-sighted. I commented casually. Fooled by my words, Shuna and the other two looked at me with newfound respect. I see, so is that why Rimuru-sama just pressured the counselors to plunge them into chaos? That was indeed the case, Benimaru, all done with deep considerations. Since I was afraid he would inherit the irritation of mine, I had to clarify first. It'd be great if I could explain this with Hinata as well. I had enough time to take a breath at this point, but still I was confused, nonetheless. Who was conducting the mental interference? It was definitely not Yuki. Since it could have left evidence, I don't think he would have done it. If he were to risk leaving any possible trace, he would need a strong enough motive, to which I can't come up with one no matter how I think about it. So, who was the one that orchestrated this incident? This is no time to get to the bottom of that. Right now, I had to resolve the problem at hand. Some of the counselors began to pressure those who regained their reasoning. It must have been these people who drafted the petition. The number was greater than I expected. Moreover, some of them still seemed very smug. They have other tricks up their sleeves, that's the only explanation. It was then that I felt something was wrong. Some of the counselors began to look towards the back door of the meeting hall. I listened carefully and heard sounds of footsteps. Have they called for the guards? Report: there was no such activity detected. It has likely been a pre-planned event. Looks like they planned to provoke me on purpose and then send in people to suppress me? They sure were confident. They were still fighting a demon lord, you know? It was unbelievable how they decided to utilize such a flawed plan, but the residents that lived around Ingracia didn't seem to have enough sense of crisis. Perhaps it was because they lived too far away from the threat of monsters that these people had become too complacent. The same went for these counselors, they were too happy-go-lucky. Perhaps they were the idiots with ill intent mentioned by Hinata. When I realized this, the door happened to be open as a dozen soldiers and a large man walked inside. Oh, how very pretentious. So, you are the idiot who calls himself a demon lord. Are you really so arrogant as to only bring 3 servants? The man yelled the moment he laid eyes on me. How unintelligent. His laugh was pretty maniacal, completely looking down on me. This was not something that could simply be described as just being rude. He was clearly here to cause trouble. There was no room for excuses. Even we were astonished to the point that we couldn't help but look at each other. No, hold up a minute. This must be the enemy's strategy. How very cunning. Answer: this man likely does not have such capabilities. Seriously? Then this guy's just a massive idiot. I suppose I am the demon lord called Rimuru. Did you mistake me for someone else? Just in case, just in case, I'll confirm with him. It'd be awkward if he said that he got the wrong guy, after all. Which was why I asked who he was looking for. Shuna's smile gradually faded. Benimaru seemed to be frozen in anger. Soy was ready to take out his hidden weapon. This would be bad if things ended in bloodshed. While I was angry as well, I could still make a joke out of the situation. I managed to stay calm and began to talk to him, in an attempt to work things out. In the end, it was a wasted effort. Yeah, it's you all right. I remember that the idiot's name was Rimuru. So, he wasn't mistaken. That meant it was okay to kill him then. Oi, you there, don't get ahead of yourself now. I don't know why you are doing this, but this is a public area with a bunch of eyewitnesses. You think you can break the laws here and get away with it scot-free? I decided to use the law as my shield and force this idiot away. Otherwise, I would have really killed him. And even if I managed to hold myself back, there was still the off chance that Benimaru would lose it. However, this large man continued on his idiotic spiel. You fool. This is a great opportunity. I'll give you a hard time with this thing. With it, you monsters will give us whatever we want. What was he on about? Did he plan to give me a hard time and make me give them whatever they wanted? What was this guy talking about? Was I just dumb? What was he trying to achieve? How come I couldn't understand him? Answer: this idiotic large man wishes to defeat Master and make him answer to his commands. I know that already. You don't have to explain things seriously so often like I'm actually an idiot. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my other videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.